Hey, let's hope I'm on here. We're having all kinds of crazy weather here right now, so I'm not sure how long this is going to last. I've got disconnected chat, unable to connect to chat. I don't know why this is. Um, this verdict, were you surprised? I was completely shocked. I mean, I'm glad, I'm happy because this is the right verdict. You can't kneel on somebody's neck for the virtue of your job and say you didn't hurt him, that you didn't intend to murder him. I think the jury did a fabulous job. I'm saddened and sickened that this took this long, and but I'm happy. We got a long way to go in this country and how we deal with race. I'm talking about the U.S., not Costa Rica. And Costa Rica is not really a thing here. But I did say that Costa Rica, like every other country I've ever lived in and visited, they have their group of people that they blame everything on, that the police rough up the whole 9 yards. Here it's people from Nicaragua and the Native Americans that are here. The Native Americans from here, they get treated like dirt. And I've seen it before, and I don't get it. In the U.S., this has been a long time. I'm going to be 61 in June. And I can remember back to when the days of civil rights and all the fighting then, and integration of schools and all of that. I had hoped that by this point in my life that equality existed, that people would realize that just because somebody speaks a different language or has a different skin color, different likes and dislikes to you, that they're exactly equal to you, that they're the same. But apparently that's not a thing now. Still not a thing. Did you see the shocked look on Derek Chauvin's face when they announced the verdict? His eyes got as big as saucers. While I don't wish him any harm, I would not want to be a cop going into prison. Cops going into prison with the same people that they had convicted don't always do real good. A lot of times they end up being traded for cigarettes for all you know, and violence against them. While I don't wish there to be violence against him, except sometimes when I think about how somebody used to kneel on his neck, it'll be very interesting to see what happens. I'm hoping that he does not get an appeal because of the fact that his lawyer was less than competent, in my opinion. His lawyer skipped a whole lot of things and a lot of witnesses and didn't make a very effective argument. So I'm curious to see if he's going to try for an appeal by claiming that he had inadequate representation. The judge actually got onto his lawyer at one point for something that he misstated to the jury. I don't know where we go from here. One of the recent things I did was when Don Lemon's book on racism came out, I downloaded it and read it the first day as soon as it could come out. I was curious. Don and I are from the exact same part of the world. We both grew up in Baker, Louisiana. And Baker was pretty much a very redneck, sort of black hating place. It's the kind of place that the Klan would have loved. Now, I understand now that there are more blacks and whites in Baker, and it's a very different place than when I grew up 6 years before he did. But I cannot imagine that. I can't imagine that his life there was much different than mine. And I thought about it. I read his book. His book was interesting, but it didn't answer the point. What is the way forward beyond telling white people they have to do better? Honey, people have been telling white people they got to do better for eons. This is not new news to anyone. He wrote about the incidents that had happened through this country, including about George Floyd in the book. And that was sad to read. I was disappointed by the fact that here's a man with the extreme privilege of working for CNN. He has a bully pulpit every night, and I've seen him use it. He has not remained neutral. I've seen him use it more and more. And turning CNN more like Fox News on the other side. And I don't like that. I'm one of those people, when I get my news, I want my newscasters to be neutral, to report on the thing and let me decide what I'm going to feel about it. Sadly, that's no longer what newscasters do anywhere. I mean, even watching the ABC coverage of this trial, I can see that the way that they were lining up. And that's really too bad, except that I will say this. I was watching it going, oh my God. And apparently everybody at ABC was too, because they were saying pretty much a lot of the same things that I thought watching the trial. I got to say, though, the Don Lemon book, the thing I was the most disappointed in, besides the fact that he's lecturing Whitey from on high from his place of privilege, is he did very little descriptive about where the place we both grew up, which is a rather unique little place just north of Baton Rouge on the Mississippi River. A unique little place that not exactly the most forward thinking. I used to get into all kinds of trouble when I went to Baker High. He was valedictorian. He and I were at LSU at the same time, merely because I did not go to college right away, and it took me some time. And so when he was there and his mama was paying for it, and he was a frat rat because he joined a fraternity at LSU, I was working 3 jobs and slogging through trying to get my degree. I don't resent him for that. I just mention that as a fact, because in his book, he tries to come across as someone who's not had privilege, and he has quite a lot of privilege. And I saw that in the book. Didn't do much descriptives of Baker, of people of Baker, or anything else to do with Baker, which is a shame because Baker is definitely a microcosm of the sort of place that would normally not give the Don Lemons of this world much of a chance. I'm fascinated that he was able to rise to the top, living there, going to school there. I left when I was 12. We moved then, and it was a good move because for me, Baker was never a good fit. I was always that weird girl that read too much. I was a better fit elsewhere than in Baker because I guess I wasn't the type that did whatever it is Bakerites did. So I was kind of disappointed in that. I was disappointed in a lot of his descriptions. He just started describing the old and the new Mississippi River bridges. I don't know how anybody can describe the new Mississippi River Bridge without describing the heavenly scent of community coffee roasting as you drive across that bridge. They run the coffee roasters day and night there. And that's one of the first things that hits you as you go from east to west is the heavenly smell of that coffee roasting. He talked about the old bridge. He didn't talk about how beat up and how many holes there are and how it was surrounded by chemical plants. None of that. None of the color. None of the things that could have been said that could have added to it. His points could have been a little bit better stated. However, that doesn't invalidate the message of the book, which is basically that he thinks that white people should do better. And we should. Everybody should. I'm thinking that this trial is a step in the right direction. Now we have to wait and see, make sure Chauvin does not try to claim he didn't get a fair trial, that his attorney was incompetent, and to see what the judge does with sentencing. Because sentencing could go either way. If they do his sentences consecutively, one after another, he could get quite a few years. He went with maximum, I think, is like 75 years. If he did them concurrently, serving his charges like count 1, count 3, count 2, and they gave him, just for argument's sake, say 10 years each. Instead of being 30 years, that would be 10 years served altogether. So, yeah, now I'm very curious about what the judge is going to do next. And I guess we're going to talk about that. I'm sorry that live chat is disconnected. Like I said, we had a horrible storm here. It knocked out our power. It knocked out a bunch of stuff. I'm just surprised that I'm able to get on here now. I'll talk to you guys later.